Listen, if this theory is true, then the Penguin will hands down be the best live-action comic book TV show of all time. This whole time, we might have been getting a tease at a major Batman villain and a side character, Dr. Julian Rush. But why in the world are we so focused on Dr. Julian Rush today? Well, I'll tell you why. Because there's two characters that he could potentially be. But if you stick around till the end, I actually have a curveball for you guys. And I know nobody would have ever guessed this, and it actually cracks me up when I think about it. Spoilers to the Penguin if you haven't gotten to episode 6 yet. So far in the Penguin, we've been following the rise of Oz and how he becomes the Penguin. One thing I want you to pay attention to in this episode, and I'm gonna hammer this point home, Oz's name in the comics is Oswald Cobblepot, but in the show, he's referred to as Oz Cobb. In the Batman universe, even the Riddler gotten his name changed. We know the Riddler as Edward Nygma.
Patient's name is Edward Nygma, also known as the Riddler.
But in the Batman movie, they changed his name to Edward Nashton. Now remember that for later on in this episode, that's gonna be very important. But in the process of Oz trying to build his empire, we meet a whole bunch of other characters, one of them being Sophia Falcone, who we know gets sent over to Arkham after being accused of a crime against several women. As early as episode 2, we see a flashback of her panicking inside of Arkham and her brother paying her a visit. But in this sequence, his finger is chopped off and it shows that she's actually living a nightmare until she wakes up, and who's sitting in front of her with a red light? Dr. Julian Rush. Then in episode 4, we get a complete backstory on Sophia. And in it, we get a sequence where she's slowly peeling away walls and finally entering her nightmare of the night that she lost her mother. Who's responsible for that? Dr. Julian Rush. And this is where the theories start to come into play. So in that same episode 4, we are introduced to the drug Bliss. This drug offers a state of euphoria and comes straight from Arkham. While the drug Bliss could bring you down its own rabbit holes, I've seen a few people mention poison ivy. I'm not gonna go down that route. What I really want us to think about is what happens if we invert Bliss into the fear toxin. And this is where Dr. Julian Rush comes in. The first character that he could potentially be, the Scarecrow. Now remember when I mentioned name changes? In the comics, Scarecrow's name is Dr. Jonathan Crane, who's also a psychologist that just wants to watch people break and have them experience their fears. What is Dr. Julius Rush doing with Sophia Falcone? The theory is that what if Dr. Julius Rush, after also being a psychologist in Arkham, finds a way to reformulate Bliss into fear toxin, and that's how we get the introduction of the Scarecrow in the Batman universe. But see, the thing is, even though I think the Scarecrow theory could work, there's another character that I think fits this mold a little bit better. My point being that these characters are not who they are yet. And so what if we're getting a different origin for the character Dr. Hugo Strange? Now, Dr. Hugo Strange is one of Batman's first comic book villains, and he's also a psychologist. But what's different about him versus Scarecrow is that not only is he a psychologist, but he's also really good with chemicals. His whole entire thing is watching people break also. But it was in a very similar way that we watched Sophia get broken down in episode 4 with the electric shock therapy. And another trait that you'll notice about Hugo Strange is that he's also very obsessive. He's one of the villains, along with Bane, that figures out Batman's identity. And he actually has a connection with the Penguin because when he figures out the Batman's identity, he tries to sell it to the Penguin, the Joker. In the comics, Dr. Hugo Strange, there's iterations where he's been the therapist to Bruce Wayne. So he actually is the therapist to a lot of rich people in Gotham. Sophia Falcone is a rich person in Gotham. And this could be another instance where we're getting a name change. But there's a Batman villain that's kind of always been on the sidelines that would still technically work and wouldn't hurt if they actually did it. You guys are going to laugh. I laughed when I realized this, but hear me out. If we really wanted to speculate, we've been talking about Dr. Julian Rush being either Scarecrow or Dr. Hugo Strange. His name is Dr. Julian Rush. You know what other Batman's villain's name is Julian? Julian Gregory Day, as in month, year, day, Gregorian calendar, calendar man.
Calendar Man? Now, if 30 days hath September...
Now, I know this sounds crazy. I know. And this is just a theory, but it's fun to speculate, right? Hear me out. The Calendar Man is never taken super serious. With the Calendar Man, what if he just so happens to be someone that makes you relive your worst traumas on those exact days? The same way that he makes Sophia relive those days. And so my real thoughts on all of these theories is that it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to watch the Penguin and also be a Batman fan and see all of these different things taking place. We have some live streams where we've been talking about the Penguin, and we have a Penguin season review dropping once the show is over. So click that subscribe button and I'll see you in the next encounter.